Cool. So I'm back. Hopefully, I won't have any more interruptions from the family. So this is Real Housewives 15, season 15, episode 2. We continue with the Kenya and Sheree moment. Kenya explaining that there is a fight. Kenya explaining about the DMs. I am so tired of these DMs. Now, I have watched I've watched Carlos King's review of Real Housewives of Atlanta this episode. I've watched the Martell Holt interview. I have watched the Speak on It with Kenya. So I'm going to incorporate all of this in this episode, in this review. So Martell is saying that if he's meeting other people in Atlanta, then she's getting the short hand of the stick. Here's the problem with this statement is that this is Martell 101. We have watched Martell on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And he does not answer anything honestly and truthfully. And so I've watched the show. I've watched his interview with Carlos, and the way that he's like, yeah, I just kept knocking them out. They keep coming at me about I did this and I did this and I did this. And I was like, that is, and then I watched the interview. I watched the review before I even watched the show. And I was like, I'm sorry, are we watching the same thing? Because he was not doing it out of the park. He was gaslighting, and Sheree is so gullible and so wants to be with the dude that she's going to just listen to whatever the heck he says. And that's okay that you want to do this. It's okay that you want to not acknowledge what is actually happening in front of your face because you really want to be in a relationship with this guy. Martell is having this full-on conversation with Carlos about how she's someone that I would want to marry. She's wife material. She's a good woman. We're taking it slow. I was over there with the grandma, with her being a grandma, with the grandkids. He put an S on it. He didn't put a D with no S. So I don't know how comfortable, again, he's talking about having more kids. Clearly she ain't able to have no more kids. So what are we talking about here? Everyone's talking about this DM. Kandi on the Speak on It, she goes in depth about the DMs thing. On the show, she's really kind of like, look, I don't care what DM that Martell is showing because the DM that Martell is showing, it's not necessarily a thing. It's not necessarily could be accurate. Kenya's like, look, the DM is a start of a conversation. He wanted to have a conversation starter, and that's what this DM was for. I agree with that. And Kenya, I also agree with Carlos that this is a produced moment. And Kenya is trying to produce a scene, trying to make some drama. So Carlos is like giddy that all of this is centering around Martell because Martell is his dude, right? I mean, oh my gosh, my daughter's getting blown up. It's ridiculous. Anyway, now we're off to, so Kenya is making reference to the fact that he's aggressive. I'm sorry, Martell is aggressive. And I'm sorry, Ross is aggressive. Um, I don't understand what we're talking about. Ross was aggressive. I don't think that it's okay to talk to women this way. First of all, I don't think it's okay to talk to people this way. But I really don't think that it's okay to talk to women this way. But I will say, uh, like Kenya brings up a good point. Now, I personally don't really care about this, but I know a lot of women make these comments about like, you have a husband, and because you have a husband and everybody else is partnered up, you're going to feel some sense of protection because you have someone and I don't. I, for whatever reason, that doesn't faze me. And I don't recognize that I do have someone who could say something. I'm just like roll with the punches kind of a person. I can speak for myself. I don't need my husband to speak for me. And I can count the number of times that I was like, okay. And most of the time it's men who will run up on me. And the first couple of times I'll say, I had a client actually, and um, he said something to me that I did not like. And this was a few years ago. And I told him I will never deal with you or handle any of your affairs ever again. And so every few months, and he owes me money still, every few months, he will try to get me to do something for him, handle something. And I'm like, I'm sorry. First of all, you owe me money. And he'll be like, well, how much do I owe you? See, I'm not playing these games. You know that you owe me money. You know how much you owe me. If you're that concerned, scroll up and you can know how much I owe, how much you owe me. You first need to pay me. And then number two, I'm said what I said. And so then he will go through this. How can we make it right? How can I was like, oh, no, 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 there is no making it right. And then so every few months, he'll say stuff like that. And then he'll ram up, like he'll try to force me to do whatever he thinks that I should be doing something for him. And I was like, what you're not going to do is you're not going to force me to do anything. And if you contact me one more time, because this was like after the fourth or fifth time, I was like, if you contact me after one more time, I am going to you can direct these conversations to my husband. Because clearly you are not cognizant that I am a woman and you think you can make me do something that I'm not going to do. You don't treat me any kind of way. I am not a servant. I don't need you. This does not make or break the bank. You owe me money and it's not contingent on if I do anything else for you. So he has never paid. And finally, when I said, you can have a conversation with my husband if you talk to me again, he has not talked to me again. And it's been like 7 months. And it's unfortunate that some men do not respond unless you introduce them to here's my husband, here's my father, here's my uncle, here's my, close friend. I've had where I had to do that too, where I was like, I had a friend come over to my house because this guy kept wanting to come over because he left a watch. And um, And I did not feel comfortable after our last encounter for him to come to my house. And so I had my friend to give him this watch. And I stayed upstairs in my house. Um, so it's unfortunate that there are times where men only respond to men this way. So I get what Kenya is saying, but I personally don't think this way. But I also don't attract people like Martell. So there's that. And from day zero, like I'm Kenya. You speak to people like this. I see you speak to people like this. We done. We have deuces. We're not. You only get one time to show that kind of aggression with me, and I'm done. And I've had encounters with men where you want to be rah rah, and I was like, oh, this is what you do? Okay, I'm done. And they will be like, oh no, it's not a big thing. No. I need to go. But that's not Sheree. And in fact, when Kenya goes to Sheree's distribution center and Sheree and Kenya were talking, Kenya's like, look, I've seen him on this TV show. I've seen how he treated he dogged out his wife. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I don't want to get to know him. And of course, Sheree defends Martell. And to me, it's clear the way that she's talking about him. Like, it's pretty clear that you've never watched Love and Marriage Huntsville. Because if you watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, you would have a very, very difficult time in wanting to be with him. Martell is good. He absolutely is good at what he does. He is charming. He's a Kappa. He's charming. I'm not disputing that. But even though he's charming, it doesn't mean, and that's part of it, is that he is charming. He's a nice guy. He's not he's not a, you know, he's not a guy that you wouldn't take home to meet your mom, because he is a charming dude. But he's also a liar and he's a manipulator. And so when I listened to Carlos interview him, the thing that bothers me about Carlos is that he really likes him a lot, right? I mean, when I say he really likes Martell, it's so hard to not see how much he likes Martell. Like, I mean, he really likes Martell, and you're just like, that's cool, because you don't even give, I mean, but you like all of the men this much. This has nothing to do with being an interviewer, a good interviewer. You really like the Maurice, no, the Marceau and the Martell. Like, you give them the benefit of the doubt. And and I don't think that you have to dog all the men out for sure. Because I do like to give men some of the benefit of the doubt, but but he is way easy on Martell. And you know for a fact that some of the stuff that he's saying is a flat out lie. Talking about how he blames everything on Mel on the co-parenting. That she is the one who absolutely has done everything incorrect, and that she's the one who's in contempt, and she's the one who like, okay, like, you weren't asking for child support. Like, let's get the facts out. Like, and a lot of this can be perfectly documented, but because this is a child custody hearing, it's not made public unless you have one of the parents making it public. I'm sorry, y'all. My dog. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that scared me. My dog got his nail stuck in his hair. I'm gonna have to. Anyway, I don't even know where I was left off. Let's talk about Courtney and Kandi. Um, Kind of over this conversation. I'm kind of over this conversation. I don't even understand why Courtney and Kandi are. I don't even understand why Courtney's getting rah-rah. So whatever. Don Juan, of course, is in the mix with his hat. I was just like, oh, so we're gonna see a lot more of Don Juan this time. Okay, cool. Ralph and Drew. Ralph and Drew, they had this cute little at-home moment. I'm trying to figure out who puts the producer standing right behind Drew on the cover of a single. Usually the producer's name, produced by Ralph, the producer's name is usually not on the front cover of a single. It's usually on the back cover or it's usually in the credits. Like this is a bit much, Ralph. Bruh. Because I thought you were in IT. So Ralph comes to find out, did you know that Courtney and I are cousins? Okay, keep it moving. Kandi and Sonia, they did this Disney trip flash. Kandi did on one of her speak on it, she showed us the house that it was such a cool house. Like she goes through the whole house and you got to see the rental house that they had for the Disney trip. And it was every room had a Disney theme. So one of the girls, she had like their daughter had Frozen. One of the boys had a Star Wars room. And then they had one room that was a hidden room that was the Tron room. Such a cool house. You got to look at it. Look at it. Look at her speak on it so that you can see all of the how, the rooms and the houses. Okay. Everybody's having a discussion at their house. Who cares? Todd is opening up more restaurants. He wants a taco, a Mexican restaurant. He wants a pizza food. He's like, look, I'm making way more money on these restaurants than anything else. So why not keep making restaurants? So the producer interrupts about the shooting and he's like, oh, we just not going to talk about the shooting. And that looked like a very awkward conversation and setting. Here's my question. Does he get workers' comp? No. What? No. Um, Anyway, Kenya's daughter is playing tennis with Kenya's friend and their daughter at the PGA store. I was like, wait, PGA stores have tennis courts? Really? I don't think I've ever went that far back in the PGA store. I think I usually stay closer to the front. My bad. I need to venture to the back. There's it's not a PGA store. There's yeah, it's not a Roger Dunn. Um, I can't think. There's a huge golf store right off in Lake Forest. It's like huge, and you could there's one in Ontario too, Ontario, California, and it's like huge. When like I mean they used to have one in Manhattan Beach, but that been closed down. But you can hit the ball, like it's for the range. So cool. Anyway, similar to it's very similar to top top golf. Yeah. Okay. Um Sonia and Sheree are talking about, first of all, mm, she's a grandma. The kid is adorable. I guess her son, has a daughter, Cairo. Cairo is a very handsome young man, so I'm not surprised. He has the better features of both of them, because his father is highly unattractive. Um, and they both were upset. They both were talking about Ross and Martell being labeled as aggressive. They were aggressive. Um, Ralph and Drew is in the studio. I'm sorry. What is asthmatical? I guess I could look it up. Asthmatical. Yeah, it's not a word. Asthmatic, but asthmatical. The problem, I mean, they just making up words. Anyway, um, back to the distribution center. She needs help. And I mean, she's really praising herself by the fact that she has all these requests and that has been remained unfulfilled. I don't think that is the goal, is to have all of these requests go unfulfilled, right? I mean, is that what we want? No, we want things to go out. And then she's like, oh, it's so wrinkled. And the thing that bothers me is like she's just like she's trying to boss up and be like, oh my gosh, it's so wrinkled. Look at all of this and you should iron it. And then they're like, yeah, we will, but is it an extra fee? Yeah, you gotta pay us some money to steam it. Oh, you're breaking me. Oh, okay. Well, if you don't want to pay any money, then this is what you get. You get some wrinkled ass mess that's being sent out to people. But I do like the socks. I do like the socks on the sweatshirt. And I'm not spending like $1,000 for a sweatshirt. It's not that much. But let's look it up. And I don't know. But I'm also not, let's see, how much are we talking? Oh, it's $162. Oh, or $252. Yeah, yeah. No, you're higher than Beyonce. You're higher than Nike. You're higher than Jordan. I paid 150 for a sweater, and which was a really nice sweater. And you're trying to charge people $162. Do you hear me? $162. And and $162 and it's wrinkled. Day one wrinkle. And I can't even, okay, so I'm gonna click on it and I can't even see what it looks like in other colors. Oh, ain't that something? I can only see it in black and gray. That is really unfortunate. But yeah, I'm not paying that. So anyway, um, that being said, I don't necessarily have any more info. I mean, besides Carlos being really excited about Martell being all over the show. Um, and so his review was very like, I really think Sheree and Martell are really in this for good. And who knows, we may get married. So I think that's kind of interesting. And um, I think it's good that Kenya knows that Sheree ain't for her. Um, and on the speak on it, but it's clear that Kandi and Kenya are really good friends. So I think that's pretty interesting. I think really what brought them together to be really good friends is their children. And children will have the capacity to do that to you. Other than that, I think that's about it. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.